Without education, chances of you actually gaining some type of financial wellness, career wellness is going to be very limited. We want to emphasize the need for individuals to feel they have to gather so many degrees in order to make it. That is the premise of the conversation.
Exactly. On top of that, make sure you know what you're going for. If you don't know what you're going for, don't get any of this stuff. It is not going to help you to have a certification you can't use or a degree you can't use in some sort of fashion. You can learn this information on the job, or you can learn this information in certifications and shortcut the right path. However, like anything, if you're going to take something, unless you use it, you lose it. Right? And that's just the way the world works.
This is Chat Over Popcorn, brought to you by Aspire Media and Marketing, hosted by Angela Ansa. Subscribe to our social media networks and follow the conversations on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Chat Over Popcorn, where the conversations run deep, starts now.
Welcome to Chat Over Popcorn, where the conversations run deep. My name is Angela Ansa, your host for the show. Tonight, I am joined with Christopher Diallo, who has 5 certifications and 3 degrees. Our conversation tonight is going to take a look at the return on investments when it comes to our education and all the degrees that individuals pursue and acquire, the effect that it has on an individual's career and financial wellness. Chris has over 13 years of experience in quality and the medical device industry. Chris, welcome to Chat Over Popcorn.
Thank you, Angela. I'm really happy to be here.
Good. So, Chris, you have 5 certifications and 3 degrees that include both bachelor's and master's.
Correct.
So, individuals listening might be like, wow, that is a lot. This guy have some type of obsession towards education or just getting degrees or gaining knowledge. Which is it for you? Talk to us about why get so many certifications and so many degrees, and is it worth it?
Yeah. So, you bring up a great point, and most people don't realize this, but, getting degrees and doesn't actually translate 100% to real life. And you're going to see that in any place you go. The school and in theory doesn't mean that's how it's going to operate in the actual real world. So, personally speaking, not knowing that is what led me on this path of first getting my initial certifications after already completing 4 years of school. And, that led to me deciding to try to get more knowledge as a way of me moving up in the organization.
So you equated degrees to upward mobility in your career.
Exactly. And that's not a bad thing. It's just the wrong way to apply that thought process, because it is about knowledge, but it's the right type of knowledge. I was very fortunate of having a mentor who had a tremendous breadth of knowledge at her level in the organization that made me want to strive for that. And so when I saw her there, I was like, oh, okay, so people who are smart are up there, right? So how people get smart? Well, everyone tells us that, in society says it all constantly, that the only way you gain more knowledge is through education, right? School. So I took upon myself to try to mimic what I've seen in the space that I was in, which led me to my first 3 or 4 certifications and my second degree, right? But what you come to realize, it's less about knowledge and theory and more about those other things that make a leader or someone move up in those ranks.
Right.
The smartest person in the room is not exactly the leader in the room.
Right.
So while I am appreciative of the degrees I received. I know now that if I could do it over again, it would be a little bit less and more structure to how do I become a leader in an organization versus how can I be the smartest person in the room.
I want to also make it clear that the goal of the conversation is not to discount education.
Oh, definitely
It
not.
is not to take away the importance of education, because without education, chances of you actually gaining some type of financial wellness, career wellness, is going to be very limited. We want to emphasize the need for individuals to feel they have to gather so many degrees in order to make it. That is the premise of the conversation.
Exactly.
So I kind of want to make that clear so our viewers don't get it confused.
And you're right. And I'll tell this to anybody, out there. It's not about accumulation. It's about what you do with the information that you get. Take the world like a buffet, right? When you go to a buffet, you don't take everything on one side and put it on your table. You take pieces here. Oh, I want some chicken. I want some rice. I want some seafood. I want some Jell-O.
Hopefully it's balanced.
Balance.
Diet.
It's a balanced situation, yes, depending on what your career path. And for me, my career path was to continue rising into an organization. So I felt that this information would help me get there. However, it did, at the same time, kind of hindered me a little bit because I became known as that guy with a lot accumulating degrees.
And I can imagine that as far as how it hindered you a little bit, individuals may either feel threatened or they may feel that you are even overqualified, right? Especially if your degrees are not comparable to maybe your experiences.
Exactly.
So you are an individual, you came out of school, you got your first degree. Instead of going into the workforce to gain additional knowledge, practicality, taking the theory that you've learned from school into practicality in the workforce, you continue to get a degree again, second degree, and after that, you don't stop there, you continue, and before you know, you are a walking degree head with no experience under your belt. And so when you are looking to enter the workforce, you have all these fancy degrees, which is great, right? But you do not have the experience to back it up.
Exactly. And anyone who's out there who's gotten through this path will tell you that it is very difficult, very, very difficult to get a moderate or entry-level job with tremendous advanced degrees in front of you, because technically the market dictates that because you have a master's degree and several other activities in the middle, that we have to pay you a certain price, and that might be outside the bounds of what the company is really willing to pay for.
Exactly.
What I did was to make sure that throughout my accumulation, I was in the middle of working. I got my bachelor's and I started working, and then I started developing my own career path, accumulating degrees. The degrees were centered around what I was already doing, so it was very complimentary, but I also wanted to expand my knowledge, which is one of the reasons why I got my MBA at a later date. It was meant to understand the business ed of the organization. Depending on where you are, and anyone who knows this, sometimes you never see the business side of things. So I wanted to experience that, and I thought getting the MBA would help me. It did. But it didn't qualify me to lead a group and have a budget and take on $1 million profit and loss statement. But it explained to me why they did what they did.
Right. You gain the theory from the school, which is important because what it does is it provides individual with a foundation. And once you gain the foundation, when you are afforded the experience, then it makes sense. Then the whole puzzle comes together. But you mentioned something in the beginning of our conversation as far as leadership. The degrees did not afford you the opportunity to necessarily go and lead a team or a department, right? And what I want our viewers to also understand is when it comes to career, and even if you are an individual who is looking to go up the career ladder, emotional intelligence go a long way.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Being a leader is also learning to follow. So there are all these interpersonal and intrapersonal skills that are very important. And so rather than maybe looking to accumulate all these degrees, why don't you take a look at their personal development, right? Maybe there may be a course or a program that is geared toward enhancing individuals' inter and intrapersonal skills, where it can position you to actually become a leader. Because individual may have a degree, they take on a leadership role and they totally fail at it.
Oh, yeah.
And the people that are reporting to them hate that
them.
individual,
Hate
right?
them. Hate them. Unfortunately, I've been in those cases both at the back end and on the front end of that, right? Seeing it from another person's perspective, that their leader doesn't have what it takes to lead them, but was moved into that role. And then I've seen, myself be in that position where I've been given a leader who doesn't have those skills.
Right.
And it's really a very destructive force. It downplays their ability to grow and to change. And you're right, it's 100% based on, understanding those dynamics if you're looking to move up in that route. Now, you don't have to become a leader in that sense. You could be a leader from a technical sense where interpersonal relationships are less important, but the majority of people, when they go into a role, are looking to move up. Our generation is about growing and becoming the boss.
I think it's because we have programmed our mind to think, if I'm the boss, I'm making X amount of money. So we've equated financial advancements, financial wellness, financial stability to being a leader.
Exactly.
And I think what you are saying is you do not have to have the title of a leader to actually lead.
Exactly. And the best leaders don't have the titles, right? They're able to lead from behind the scenes. And then those are the guys who companies swoop up real fast. Oh, he doesn't really need a title, but he's a principal. Hey, I need you to help lead us through this path, this difficult journey. And they get paid big bucks like anything. And you're right, it is a compensation game, right? I found myself looking at, if I get the Masters of Engineering and I get the certification as a quality engineer and the black belt, the green belt, the PMP and everything else, they'll give me $1 million.
And it doesn't work like that.
It never works out like that. Matter of fact, they look at you and say, how can you use this information to help us? Now, my role has allowed me to be in multiple functions where everything I've gotten actually has helped me do more and more and more. So I've had the experience, but a lot of people get one of these certifications or one of these degrees and have nothing to show for it in terms of experience, how to use it. And you're right, they get it because there's a dollar sign attached to it. Those programs strongly promote that this will help you grow in your organization. They fail to let you know that it's not 100% guaranteed. And matter of fact, if you go through this program but don't come up with any of the leadership aspect the program has been trying to kind of slowly tell you about, you won't go anywhere. Right? Because organizations are looking for leaders more than they're just working for just workers at certain levels, right? If you're at a certain level where they expect you to make decisions, you need to know how to lead at that level in order for them to promote you up. And that was a concept that was unclear to me for a very long time. I'm gonna be honest with you, it took years for me to sit back and think, hey, what am I doing wrong here that's not allowing me to get to your position? Now, they kept talking about it in terms of soft skills. You mentioned earlier, soft skills. As a long person, I don't know that. But slowly and surely, I developed my understanding through talking to individuals and going to leadership-based training geared to developing those elements. Some people are naturally born with leadership skills and some people have to learn. I guess I was the latter. That's okay. A lot of people are.
There's hope for everyone.
It's hope for, and that's the biggest thing. Realize there's hope out there to learn these skills in a very constructive manner.
Yeah, and a lot of organizations are placing a lot of emphasis on talent management, right? So talk about honing individuals' hard skills, which is the technical skills that you need to do your job. Organizations are taking a lot of interest in making sure they help develop people's soft skills. So when they do end up with the leadership position, it can keep them there, or it can even actually make them happy, right? So you talk about overall wellness. If you find yourself, that whole job person misfit or mismatch, right? So you are individual who looking for this $1 million paycheck, and you think the only way you will get there is to be the CEO, VP, director, whatever. But if your personality is also not shaped that way, you may experience job person misfit, and that alone can create a lot of stress on you.
Exactly.
And not really even make you happy and not make you perform at your best. And in effect, what it does is it cascades onto the individuals that report to you, where you are causing stress on them.
In that case, you speak brilliantly to what's been happening to a lot of people, even happened to myself and other individuals, where they think they're not getting their fair shake because they're doing all the basic work, the technical work of, hey, I'm the smartest person, but I don't have the best people skills. And number one thing organizations look for are the way you manage people and relate to people. The quote or a statement that was given to me a long time ago about how leadership is influence. And the only way you can influence people is if you connect with them and you allow yourself to be vulnerable and open to them. People who don't understand that close themselves off and just try to work, oh, this is a business. But it's more than that. It's always going to be more than that. And if people don't understand that, they'll never grow as an individual. So it definitely brings everything full circle, right?
Yeah. I also want to emphasize for individuals who are starting their career to recognize that they have to take an inventory. Take an inventory of who you are as an individual, because that matters. And there's a lot of resources out there online that helps individual evaluate what type of job would be better fit for them.
Exactly.
Right? Some people are very organized individuals. Some people have this people skills that we are talking about, and others just want to be behind the scene and be an individual contributor and make sure that the overall mission and objective of the organization is getting moved forward without necessarily having to deal with people.
Exactly.
IT, for example. I'm sure there are a bunch of IT folks out there with great personalities. I personally know an IT person who is this extrovert, great people skills. But the point is, most IT people or data analysts like to be, really heads down, focused on what is it that they are looking at and not want to deal with the people. Because managing people creates a lot of stress.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It creates a lot of stress.
And the stress compounds the higher you get, right?
Absolutely.
As you move up,
yes,
you take on the stress of the people below you. And that stress starts to build on your own personal stresses that you're dealing with. And if you haven't learned the skills of how to manage the stress and lead yourself through that, there's no way you're going to lead anyone else. The group usually collapses on itself.
You have all these degrees, right? And definitely they got your foot in the door.
Yes.
They did. It may have taken a longer time to get that position that ultimately was a motivator for you to gain and accumulate all these degrees. But nonetheless, it did help you get there. Individuals may pursue maybe an Ivy League degree or school and pay $90,000 per year, multiply that by 4 or by 2 or by 1, depending on what kind of degree you are getting. And if you are getting more than 1 or 2 of those degrees, and the position that you are going to get in the workforce, as far as the compensation package, does it commensurate with the cost of education? So in your case, would you say it was worth it? Knowing what you know now.
Now I know that, I definitely would do things differently.
Yeah.
Overall, it gave me credibility and a structured understanding of how the world works. However, so I didn't start accumulating my debt until after I left my bachelor's. And I would speak to a lot of people about is make sure that if you're going for a degree and you're working, make sure the company you're working for has a very strong reimbursement for school program. On top of that, make sure you know what you're going for. If you don't know what you're going for, don't get any of this stuff. It is not going to help you to have a certification you can't use or a degree you can't use in some sort of fashion. All the things I've gotten actually have helped me become better.
And I also want to add to exactly what you said, that individuals should do their research on the salary for the degrees that they are getting.
Yes.
Right? So if you are getting a sociology degree, make sure you understand the salary that you will be getting when you come out of school, and if it is okay and conducive to your lifestyle. You talk about, as far as, the debts that could be accumulated when you pursue a medical degree. Well, if you are going to take out student loans to pursue a medical degree, the ROI, return on investment, is probably high, because you may come out and become a doctor, and chances are you're going to get a higher salary. But as far as individuals who are at a point in their life or their career or their education where they are looking to take on a fancy degree, maybe they have other circumstances in their life that right now they just need a quick thing, right? So talk about pursue maybe a bachelor's degree in nursing versus an associate degree in nursing. Maybe you have life happening, right,
Yeah.
that you need money. So in that case, you would say certification is probably a safer route
Yes.
to pursue.
Especially since most certifications cover more hands-on activities than a normal degree program. I mean, for me, I learned more in my mini-tab statistical class, where I had someone who was actually in the industry and say, oh, you don't use this, you don't use this, you don't use this. I was like, oh, you don't use this stuff. Oh, I thought that everyone used this stuff. This is what statistics was. Oh, no. See, people pretend that this is important. What really matters is common sense statistics, right? And then you start learning from those type of professionals who are not going to, who are not part of a university budget that says I have to have a 16-week course that charges this much money, right? So certifications versus, anything else can be a better substitute than just going to a bachelor's program.
Right. So overall, education-wise, definitely pursue it.
I would even argue, find some people who are already in the industry and ask them questions. There is a storm of social media people who are out there who have gone through this stuff and can explain it to you in very great detail about what's good and what's bad.
Right.
Again, I was blessed with a mentor who said, okay, if you want to be like me, you need to know this information. Now, you can learn this information on the job, or you can learn this information in certifications and shortcut the path. However, like anything, if you're going to take something, unless you use it, you lose it. Right? And that's just the way the world works. Use it or lose it.
Exactly. No, absolutely. Wow, Chris. So thank you for, engaging me in this conversation. And if you are ever in doubt as to what should I pursue, like Chris said, find a trusted mentor. If you don't have one, find yourself one. Google. Go to YouTube. Look, we live in a world where resources is at our fingertip. You can find anything that you need, and nothing should really hinder you from wanting to gain that career and financial wellness. And if you are not going to start your own company and you are going to pursue a 9-to-5, you want to make sure that this 9-to-5 is something that you are going to like, right? That is 8 to 10 hours nowadays that we are spending in our corporate life. It's something that you would enjoy, and something that is worth it, as far as making sure you are coming home with a sizable amount of salary that would provide you a sustainable lifestyle. So, wow, Chris, I want to thank you so much for engaging me in this conversation. When it comes to education, especially our young ones are struggling with what to pursue, with the job market, who's going to hire me? Do I need to get 20 million degree just to get my foot in the door? What degree to get? What is my salary going to look like? And I think, today, having talked to you, I am trusting that people have learned a thing or two from today's segment. And remember, our truths are best lived when we dare the moment. Until next time, take care.
Thank you for watching this episode. To continue with the conversation, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell or notification button to be notified every time new videos get uploaded. Also, click thumbs up to like the video and follow our Instagram and Facebook pages to catch up on all the conversations.